the development of the soul and its powers. Rather than the conventional belief, psychic abilities and expanded perception, often called ESP, do not arise from techniques, rituals, or repeated practice alone. They emerge as natural consequences of the development of the soul and its powers, the gradual formation and integration of astral bodies that serve as expanded sensory vehicles for our consciousness. This is the ultimate aim of all spiritual and religious traditions. Spiritual light is generated by photon energy and is represented by the hydrogen element, number 1. The womb of creation energy is created by the final possible element, number 118, oganesson. This element creates the so-called void of outer space and the ocean in which all of creation swims. In truth, the photon is God energy and oganesson is goddess energy. As the photon evolves, it creates all other elements, while oganesson contains all other elements within its boundaries. These two elements are in fact infinite power sources representing positive and negative poles as absolute light and absolute black. A tremendous attraction exists between them, physically represented by the union of sperm and ovum that creates life at the material plane. The periodic table of elements in the Yoke system is grouped into 7 periods. Each period represents a chakra and a potential astral body that can be permanently activated. It is noteworthy that the uppermost astral bodies are the quickest, therefore the easiest to develop, as they contain the least number of elements and electrons in the outermost ring. Most of humanity does not function in conscious awareness at the uppermost spiritual planes or the lowermost etheric planes. Most people lack the ability for their awareness to perceive spiritual and magical realities. Each of us will have some active awareness points already developed, and it is quite likely that we have 1 or 2 or perhaps 3 non-physical bodies already permanently activated, especially if we possess natural psychic abilities. However, the goal is to develop all of them, which is normally the task of many lifetimes. We come to understand that each astral body or non-physical body is created out of a noble gas with a certain number of awareness points. Each noble gas has a complete electron outermost shell, and it is this noble gas body, when permanently activated, that is able to withstand and hold our individual awareness at that particular level after the death of the physical body. In order to activate a certain astral body, you first need to activate the appropriate awareness points. This is ultimately accomplished by generating the needed energy with your physical body. Before that, the best approach is to tap into the 2 cosmic power sources. Source is spiritual light, and Gaia as the womb of creation. A lack of energy is the main hindrance to any occult or magical work. We develop our soul not through any other means, but through living intensely. This process unfolds through consistent, intentional effort to generate and direct inner energy toward healing and integration, which is the true path that develops the soul and its powers. The primary obstacle on this path is inertia, simply not doing enough. All paths, regardless of type or origin, lead to the same end goal, the individuation of the soul. We often hear stories of the impish, morally perverse, or corrupt who manage to turn a new leaf. Those who walk the dark and trodden paths live with intensity, and they will eventually find their way back. Yet it has become the norm, perhaps even an abomination, for the collective to live lives of passivity, engaged in soulless pursuits marked by hedonism, modern entertainment, and a level of effort that is never enough to develop the soul. For most people, the only opportunity to access their observer self comes through drugs and alcohol. Their awareness remains anchored in the physical world, except when forcibly torn from it through intoxication, devout religious prayer, crisis, or in contrast avoided through the passive escapism of endless scrolling. As a result, the development of the soul has become a rare occurrence in today's society. The symbolic overlay of any tradition, its rituals, ceremonies, and beliefs, often serves as a distraction or distortion that hides what is truly important: the mental, emotional, and spiritual healing and completion of the soul. Most people cannot see the forest for the trees. They remain caught up in glamour and illusion. Across traditions, the principle remains consistent. In yogic teachings, Subtle bodies, such as the astral and mental sheaths, develop through disciplined living and spiritually embodied practice. Anthroposophy describes the astral body as the seat of passions, desires, and conscious soul qualities, built through inner work. Hermetic and Gnostic streams speak of layers of the soul forming through experience, healing, and alignment with higher principles. Even in shamanic and earth-centered paths, soul growth involves integrating emotional, mental, and spiritual dimensions to access deeper realities and achieve healing through practices such as soul retrievals, while stressing the soul to gain directed psychic and spiritual abilities that can be brought back into the physical world to help others. The goal of any valid tradition has always been to live in two worlds at once. The most sobering aspect is that a large portion of modern human society has not yet developed their soul, the observer self, or a healthy ego. Modern psychiatry and psychology recognize that schizophrenics, psychotics, and others with mental or emotional illness often suffer from poorly developed egos and self-esteem issues. How many people do you know who struggle with poor self-esteem? In today's world, this evolution is still unfolding, and perhaps half or more of humanity has not yet developed the soul in the terms described above, meaning the ability to maintain a rich internal world and to see oneself creatively within it. Do you have true self-esteem? Do you have a soul? Most spiritual traditions center on the development of the soul and the awakening of its inherent powers. This path can and must align harmoniously with modern scientific and psychological understanding. Mainstream science and psychology often dismiss unseen realms and paranormal experiences as invalid. Magic is generally not believed to be real in our rationally atheistic modern society, despite its great advancements in science and technology. An uprising of traditional paths, with their deep knowledge of metaphysics and spiritual thought, has begun to emerge through neo-spiritual channeling, media, and the internet. However, fighting against the dominant collective belief creates a clash that actively works to prevent magical, mystical, or paranormal experiences. It is difficult to have a paranormal experience when everyone around you does not believe such things are possible. The belief of the group often overpowers the belief of the individual and neutralizes the experience. Creating a valid tradition that exists in harmony with modern scientific and psychological thought allows those very beliefs to sustain and support paranormal experience. When this occurs, the group's belief in science and psychology lends its energy to the paranormal, making the experience even more powerful. This synergy is what we seek, a path where science and spirituality reinforce each other. Without this synergy, we are just playing make-believe. A magical system based upon the periodic table allows the collective belief in science to become a powerful ally. We each individually move from being an open circuit to a closed one, a transition that is both powerful and necessary. The physical body and the soul function much like the organic computers and electronic devices we use every day. If the physical body is the computer, the soul is the program, and the vital life force is the electricity that makes it run. At its core, the entire universe consists only of vibrations. We each shape our destiny through our choices and actions. Ancient mystery schools, from Egyptian to Greek traditions, existed to guide this process, healing the psyche, cultivating soul powers, and preparing individuals for both this life and what follows. The path is deeply personal, yet clearly marked by those who have walked it before. First and foremost, we are each the masters of our own destinies. Collectively, we have chosen the circumstances that surround us now. Too often, however, we surrender our personal power to external authorities and adopt the role of victim, either consciously as a martyr or unconsciously as a fool. The oldest souls, the true masters and adepts, understand that all manifest things exist in perfect balance, even when appearances suggest otherwise. They embody this balance in their lives and communities, often choosing to remain unseen and uninvolved in worldly affairs. Of all the traditions we have mentioned, none is organic Gnosticism. Yet organic Gnosticism lies at the very foundation of all of them in its most basic and pure form. Organic Gnosticism is the wisdom of life itself. It requires no formal teachings, only the commitment to live a full, complete life in a balanced way. Its spiritual path is intensely personal and unique to each individual as they follow the guidance of the Christ Spirit within their own hearts. It is a path of accumulated life experience and goodwill toward others, embracing the full spectrum of what life has to offer. The physical body generates energy and sends it out into the universe, where it first connects with collective opposite-sex energy before returning to form a composite spark of awareness. Simply put, you give and give until your energy begins coming back to you. It is the physical body that generates the energy which attracts the opposite-sex energy that will eventually give birth to each layer of the soul, to each astral body, and to each uniquely created astral world. That is divine law, and that is what we are going to explore on this modern path of true magic. Now, the soul comprises distinct energy types, each corresponding to a level of development. Hydrogen representing the crown chakra, the abstract spiritual with one bit of awareness, the point of unity that lies across the great abyss, the chakra at the middle of our brain. The concrete spiritual with 2 bits of awareness, comprising the first electron ring and completing the spiritual body. The third eye, chakra, the abstract mental with 8 bits of awareness, completing the philosophical mental body. The throat chakra, the concrete mental with 8 bits of awareness, completing the lower ego of self-awareness and awareness of our environment. The heart chakra, the upper emotional with 16 bits of awareness, completing the awareness of love, joy, and art. The solar plexus chakra, the lower emotional with 16 bits of awareness, where we confront anger, fear, and emotional pain and earn resolve through overcoming obstacles. The sacral chakra, the sensual, physical body with 32 bits of awareness of our senses, sexuality, and the beginning of our immortal physical body. The root chakra, the etheric body with 32 bits of awareness, which lies underneath physical reality and is the realm of magic, the supernatural, and the etheric planes. True completion requires fully developing each layer through focused effort and dedicated energy generation. This is a mechanical, cumulative process. Once a layer's energy is fully realized, an astral body forms, granting access to its corresponding powers. Development then naturally progresses to the next level. In this new age of Gaia's ascension, opening energy centers is easier than ever. The real challenge lies in the patient, sustained generation of these energies. No shortcuts exist. Yet the empowerment that follows makes the journey profoundly worthwhile. Ask yourself, are you living in fear or inspiration? Is your outer world a prison or an adventure? As Gaia ascends, carrying us with her, our life circumstances are crystallizing. This new age represents a return to shamanic earth energies and the energies of the root chakra, yet it offers something unprecedented, full-spectrum consciousness and life experience for a select group of souls. This demands an entirely new understanding and practice, precisely what organic Gnosticism provides. In the past, mystery schools polarized toward light or earth, male or female, separated by a great abyss that kept opposites apart. Now that barrier has lifted, this era grants the true individual, regardless of gender, the ability to access both the highest and lowest energies of life, fostering true perception and communication between the sexes in a shared world for the first time. Organic Gnosticism invites us to embrace this integration, a true magic that honors the full spectrum of existence while developing the soul and its powers in harmony with our evolving cosmos.